What's happening? What's happening?
Yeah, I would say, look, for that to come down to a winning drive, to see Arizona stop Green Bay in the end zone and on that 1 yard line, right? And to have Kyler Murray make that drive to put them in a position to win the game. I walked away last night saying the Cardinals lost that game. The Cardinals lost that game.
Well, I'll say Key.
More so than the Packers won.
We couldn't hear Key when he was talking as we're waiting to get Key's mic up and running.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I'll say this: going into the game, Jay, the way you framed it was, and we started building on that yesterday. In terms of MVP talk, going into the game, Kyler Murray probably had the slight lead. You could argue Lamar, you could argue Tom Brady, but Kyler Murray probably had the majority of people saying he's a little bit out in front. The result of that game would have a big impact on how people think about the MVP. Because you have to figure Rodgers would have to ball to win that game, given he didn't have his top three receivers, you could argue, with Valdez-Scantling out, too. But the way it went down at the end of that game, when Rodgers, it looked like, okay, he's going to punch it in, but got stopped just short. And then they don't convert. And then Kyler takes him right down the field. You just had the feeling the Cardinals were going to win the game. I still think Rodgers jumps up in the MVP conversation. I don't know if he's won right now.
He's not at the top. I would still have Tom Brady or Lamar Jackson ahead of him.
Right.
But he's in the conversation now.
And what's so interesting, we were talking about it before the show started. Rodgers' whole problem with the Green Bay Packers in the offseason was they didn't seem to not only not solicit his advice, they didn't seem to want it. They told him, we don't care. And when he forced them to get some humility and realize we're going to have to bring this guy in the loop, they went out and did what?
Got Randall Cobb.
They went out and got him his boy, Randall Cobb.
He gave him 2 TDs last night. Let me also break something else down to you, Max. NFC Championship game. Remember that third down play where he kind of looks a little bit lost? Everybody's like, just run it in there, punch it in there. Then they kick the field goal, right? They don't go for it. Think about how that flips on his back now. Third down, he actually tries to punch it in. You're like, yeah, he's trying to punch it in. 4th and goal, don't go for the field goal. They actually go for it. That it gets stuck. But I still like the flip of mentality because that contradicts what happened the year before.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if Rodgers runs in the NFC Championship game, they're going to go for it because they're going to be 4th and inches most likely if he doesn't punch it in. And that's what happened. By the way, it doesn't mean it works out because it didn't work out this time. It only worked out because A.J. Green, apparently, there was some kind of miscommunication. But it does mean at least that you don't hand the ball to Tom Brady saying get a couple first downs and now, kick a field goal and you're going to beat us. It does mean that. I mean, Kyler Murray took over on downs, drove him down the field, and they should have won the game, but they didn't. Is Key back?
I don't think we still have him.
Gotcha.
I was going to say this, though, Max. As it relates to the last play.
Can y'all hear me, man?
There he is. Look at Key. You can see him on TV.
Can we hear him?
You can see him on TV. Smile.
There you are. We got you.
Can you hear me, though?
Yes, we can hear you now, Key. We can hear you now.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, we can.
We can hear you, yeah.
You can. We can. Jump in, Key.
You would think with a company like this, our audio would certainly work all the time. Yeah, it just happens sometimes, I guess.
Miscommunication, like A.J. Green. What are you going to do? Once in a while, there's a communication breakdown.
Once in a while, there is communication breakdown. So what were you guys discussing?
I was going to ask you, Key, what do you think happened on that last play with A.J. Green? I mean, you've been in that situation, it feels like, a lot of times. Like, what was the miscommunication there at the end?
You got to remember A.J. Green is coming off basically the streets. They signed him in the offseason, and so a lot of communication between he and Kyler Murray, a lot of communication between the way that they call plays. It looked like to me that he wasn't sure if it was a running play or a passing play. And when he got out there, he kind of had a brain fart once he started to run the route. It looked like at the top of the route, he wasn't for sure if he was supposed to turn around or just block. So he got caught in between. It was a perfect throw by Kyler Murray, no question about it. And 9 times out of 10, I'm dialing that same play up at the end of the game on a back shoulder fade because see, he started to kind of break out right there, and he slowed down. If you look, he looked like he was wanting to break out, but at the same time, he kind of wanted to block the guy. So I think he just got caught in what he was supposed to do. It's just an unfortunate situation. It was a really good game. Green Bay gave them all they can handle, and Arizona gave Green Bay all they can handle. In fact, Green Bay probably left about 17 points on the field. So, but it turned out to be a good game. I watched it from wire to wire.
So 17 points on the field. I want to play this Cliff Kingsbury sound about the A.J. Green route and all that. 17 points on the field is interesting because we are looking at these two NFC powerhouse teams. If they link up in the playoffs, what could happen? And we see the Packers really shorthanded, and yet they could get it done. Listen to Cliff Kingsbury, the Cardinals head coach, on what happened on the play we were just discussing.
One-on-one over there, yeah. We didn't run the route, and the guy made a good play. So I'm not sure, like I said, it wasn't the route that we thought we had checked, and so we got to communicate better in those situations. Yeah, I mean, we feel like it's a safe throw if he knew the route to run, no question. Yeah, they brought zero. It was the right place to go with the ball. Just didn't communicate on some level, and then the guy made a good play.
So, Key,
Cliff was right about
Kingsbury,
that.
I assume you could. Yeah,
Yeah, Cliff was right about that. It was the right play. They bring zero pressure. You back shoulder right there. It's a touchdown. Flight of the football was perfect. I mean, that thing was just so beautiful. And I knew as soon as I saw it, I knew exactly what they were getting ready to call, and so did the Green Bay Packers. But AJ wasn't on the same page, and it's an L. Great play by the defender, though.
You know what's interesting, and Jay brought this up, and I think we should get into it. And we got 4 hours ahead of us, damn near, here on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, ESPN Radio. But Aaron Rodgers, the beef with the team, Key, in the offseason is like, you're not only not soliciting my opinion, you're telling me to shut up when I give it to you. And they're like, oh, sorry. Are you going to leave? Oh, sorry. Yeah, Jordan Love's not exactly what we thought, and you're still great. We didn't know if you were slipping, but you're not. You're great. Okay. What do you want? Can you go get my guy? Can you go get Randall Cobb, right? Well, he's past his prime. He's this and that. But, Key, they bring Randall Cobb in, and because these dudes have built-in chemistry, look what happens, right? Like, look at the lack of communication. A.J. Green, who's relatively new to the team, the whole thing, versus a guy who's in sync with Aaron Rodgers. Is there something there, Key?
Well, yeah, of course. You practice together. You know each other. It's just a comfort level, all of those things. And he has that rapport with his receivers because they've been together for such a long time. So it made sense to get somebody that he was familiar with, and it made sense when Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard was not playing that Randall Cobb would be the guy to make a couple plays in the game that would make the difference in the football game because of the relationship.
And it also made a world of a difference considering the way Green Bay just pounded the ball on the ground. I mean, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon combined for, I think, close to 150 yards. But they made a concerted effort to run the ball up their stomach each and every time. Yeah. And there was nothing that the Cardinals could do about it. So then when those possessions would come into play for a guy like Randall Cobb, it gave that balance to the offense.
Yeah, well, listen, you knew missing your top three receivers, really, you're going to have to run the ball. Jones can, he's a good back, and it worked. And I think the big picture thing with all this is it helped the team. Like listening to Aaron Rodgers, soliciting his input, and then going out and executing the thing that he's like, hey, this would be a good idea, right, my guy? Helps the team. They don't win without Randall Cobb yesterday, most likely. We're asking at Key J and Max on Twitter, who's playing the best football in the NFL right now? Be a part of KJM Nation on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed or call in line 888-SAY-ESPN. 729-3776. ESPN Nation is presented by Dr. Pepper. College football's back, so are the fans. Return to glory with Fansville by Dr. Pepper, the one fans deserve. Could it be the Packers, and what kind of an impact does that have on Rodgers' future? Right? Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, ESPN Radio.
Today on ESPN Daily, you may think you know Brave star Freddie Freeman, but the Freddie Freeman you don't know is the one you need to hear about. Buster Olney shares his incredible story of life and family and baseball. Follow us and listen wherever you get your podcasts.